going to walk you through how I plan for my upcoming school year. Now, I realize at the time of this recording, I am in the midst of summer. So I'm all for enjoying your summer and not thinking about school. However, for me, it's easier for me to sit down, look at my school, my district calendar, plan out the weeks of how many instructional days we have, and then really start to think about what I've done in the past and then redirect it and revise it for the future. All right, so. What I did first is if you know anything about me, I love a good Google spreadsheet. So what I'm doing right now is I went ahead and I created a spreadsheet with the date range at the top. So for each week, and then the instructional days, and then I also have the 9 weeks at a time. And so I'm able to plan. Now, obviously, as teachers, we know we're going to have picture days. We're going to have a couple days, several weeks, even maybe without tech as one-to-one issued devices are issued. And so you kind of have to play around with that. But overall, I want to look at what am I teaching? When am I teaching? And how is it going to all work together? All right, so here I've got my date range instructional days for the first 9 weeks, and then I have my essential question for my units. So our curriculum that I use for our district is my perspectives, and so I have that essential question, and then I have each week kind of sketched out with what we'll be doing, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So that's very helpful for that. And then over to the side, I've tried to implement the six trait writing because a lot of our students that are coming to us are not proficient writers, they're not confident writers. So trying to embed that, or at least some of it, in each week as well. And so, like, our first 2 weeks are always about procedures and culture building, going over the syllabus, but then also to do that beginning of the year test that My Perspectives has. That's been very, very helpful. And it's also the first piece of data that I'm able to use in our student data notebooks. Um, so, which is really, really helpful. And sometimes we do it online if we get the devices in time, and sometimes we just have to go old school and do it on paper. I use a app called ZipGrade to facilitate that quickly. So yeah, so there's those things, and then our English department for the high school, we have a summer reading list. So we usually take that test the third week of school to give students a bit of a time to catch up. Sometimes we have students that transfer, and so to give them time to read the book, they literally just read the book, take the test. It's all outside work on them. We are not in any way, shape, or form going over it to prepare them for that test. They either know it or they don't. And for us, it's more about seeing their writing styles and their writing sampler because there are a few essay questions. And then it's also just to see, did they take the time? I mean, my goodness, did they take the time to even spark note it and to get um, some type of familiarity with the story and the plot? So then as I move on, these are just our normal, like the stories that are in the selection. And then, of course, each 9 weeks, we want to have some type of focus on writing that they're going to see on the end of course exam. All right. Now, over here to the side, you can see I've got Common Lit put in there. We've used Common Lit to enhance our instruction as Common Lit gives really good practice skills and gives our students that extra question types and question stems that they're going to see on the EOC. But this year, I got an email from Common Lit saying that they had a whole animal farm, a novel study, and that has definitely piqued my interest. So I'm putting that over here on the side so that I know. Um, and if I were to start it, I would probably start it at the beginning of the year, just start out strong with a sustained piece of text, extended piece of text. And so then as you go on down, you can see I've got our fall break blocked off and then our second 9 weeks with our weeks and our instructional days, our um, essential question, and then of course we're going to do middle of the year test and focus on argumentative writing. And then we have 3 weeks between Thanksgiving break and Christmas break, which are all like review questions and working on Common Lit and some of the EOC practice tests. And then we have some semester exams, then Christmas break. Then, after Christmas break, if you live in a place like I do in Tennessee, we are always hit or miss with snow days. This year, oh, it was awful. My district has 8 snow days and we used 7 of them. And so it was like sprinkled throughout. And then there were, on top of the snow days, some days we came in on a 2 hour delay to help the snow to melt faster so that we wouldn't have to eat up a whole day. And so that was definitely hit or miss because last year I shared third 9 weeks. I was like, we're going to do the Odyssey. We're going to do a deep dive. It'll be extended text, lots of critical thinking. It's definitely something they need to be exposed to as high school freshmen. And because of that, we ran in from the Odyssey. We had snow days, delays. Um, and then on top of that, then we had to start filling in some test prep as well for the end of course. So we did not get to go as deep into the Odyssey as I would have liked. And so for us, we have our 3rd weeks that goes from January to March, and then our fourth 9 week starts in March, and then we go March, and then spring break, and then right after spring break this year, we're going to go straight into state testing. Ah! And so we've got the Odyssey, then we do some Common Lit, EOC review questions, and then we focus on informative writing because in our experience on our end of course exam, it's usually been informative writing for English 1. And then spring break and then state testing. And then after state testing, we like to focus on Romeo and Juliet, mainly because there's just so many different ways you can do it. You could stretch it out if you wanted to and do a deep dive, or with end of the year, state testing, schedules, all kinds of stuff. You can simply show some of the movies and compare movie and text, and go back and forth and get it to move faster. And then we have semester exams. So this is just my quick way of trying to plan out my year. Now, is it going to all work out like I'd love it to? Probably not. But I'm a teacher that if you can give me an instructional calendar of where you want me to go, then we can definitely get a lot accomplished in a short amount of time. Hope this helps.